We've been arranging this for many weeks.
Yeah, well, God's time is the best, they say.
Yes. I hope you're well, Prof.
Very.
Great.
Very.
Great. In fact, I think one of the things that happened in this election cycle, and I've talked about it consistently, when university lecturers in your university decided to come out and take a stance, particularly for those of you who are inclined towards the National Democratic Congress. When it happened, I was wondering whether something was going to happen to them.
Something like...
They were going to have some clashes with the university over the choices that were made.
Well, Senator, thank you very much for the question. I mean, this question has been opened up every time and now. Why should the university lecturers should be engaged in open partisan politics? And my answer has been very simple. Of course, there's very good reason why our elders decide not to allow chiefs to get into partisan politics. In partisan politics, nobody cares who you are. Anything goes. So once you get into it, then you should be prepared for the other side. So the insults, the name callings, comes with it. And we were very much aware of that.
Okay.
But we got to a point that, look, university is the house of knowledge. We create and share and create knowledge. And the country was going in a way that if we had not give a voice, I think we would have been doing disservice to Mother Ghana. So we, for example, have these students in our institutions. We teach them. We know the standard that where we were and where we are going. So if the system is not very good, and if you refuse to talk about it, then I think that we are doing Mother Ghana some disservice. That's the reason why we defied all odds to come up openly to speak the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that we did what we were expected to do, to speak the truth and damn the consequences. And I'm happy we achieve our aim.
And that's interesting. I'm wondering what you make of the outcome, because you did campaign, you were part of this process. Then the NDC gets this kind of results where the NPP is still working any angle they can to see if they can secure some seats that they've never lost before, that they've lost in these elections. But people, you are looking at about 57% when all results come in for the presidential elections, 2/3 of parliament.
More than 2/3 of
that's massive.
So, it talks about only one thing, from my perspective. The electorate are becoming wiser. They are becoming a bit discerning. And perhaps comprehend good policies. I've always been saying that we should trust those who do good things than those who say good things.
Those who do good things.
Yes.
Than those who say
good things.
Okay.
For the past 8 years, we've been awash with a number of promises that never materialized. And anytime you talked about it, the issue of free SHS comes in.
Yeah.
Which, in principle, is good. Remember when I made a comment on that it has open access, but compromise quality.
Yeah.
I was lambasted by, including some students of mine.
Okay.
But I was very, very sure of what I was saying.
Okay.
And I was sure because, if you recall, when the government was accused of practicing family and friend government. One member said they are doing that because their grandfather was able to educate them well.
Yeah.
By implication, because they had opportunity to school out there, they have better education than us, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
So my point is that let our children also have a better education so that they can also be like you, to be in the position you are. But all said and done, the victory is divine. I'm very, very convinced. But for that, Ghana will have been in turmoil. The EC that we have today, if the margin had been even 52, I think that still we would have been struggling.
If the margin had been, because 52% is high.
I'm very convinced by the machination that they are doing today, trying to collate or recollate or whatever they term it, elections that have been called. If the presidential election had been 52, we would have been somewhere. We wouldn't have the peace that we are having today. I'm very sure. When did the EC realize that because of confusion, so we have to recollect elections? Have you forgotten what happened in Techman's last 4 years, where 8 people were shot dead? Was there any recollection of the results? So if somebody, granted with that acceptance, had even pulled a cutlass without killing anybody, does that call for a recount, a recollection? In situations where people were shot dead, there wasn't any recollection. Then today, if Dominic Kwabenya, where everybody was there, he said there was tension, so you have to recall it. That's why I'm convinced that it was divine. It was divine that made the gap to be so huge that they could not contest. But for that, we would have been seeing what we are saying today. Divine intervention.
I see. But was it what did you even anticipate that it was going to be?
See now, to be very honest, I didn't. I knew NDC would win.
Okay.
I was very convinced NDC was going to win. But it never occurred to me that the margin was going to be so huge. Huge to the sense that Dr. Bawonia had to throw in the towel at the 70th minute. It was so huge, so massive. And I'm saying that alone gives me inclination that is a divine intervention. Otherwise, the EC, by the demonstration that they are putting up, would have plunged the country into a very chaotic situation. Yes.
What do you think was the major contributor to this, the results we saw in the elections? Because if someone like you who was even convinced that the NDC was going to win, joined the campaign for the NDC, among others, still is surprised at the results that came out, what do you think was the main driver?
Well, I'm very convinced about the preparation the NDC did.
Okay.
The vigilance was beyond par. In fact, they put in all they have to protect this. So at the coalition center, at the polling stations, even in the transportation of the ballot papers, they were monitoring everything. So that those at the other side could not get chance to do what they know to do best. So I've always challenged people who claim people do not vote. I think it's not true. There's no iota of truth in that saying. The fact of the matter is that they could not stuff the ballot papers that they have been doing almost always. That explains why.
The ballot stuffing
Exactly.
was prevented this time around.
Exactly. The powdering of voters lists at the and in fact it started way before the election day, where they called the EC to ask to audit their register. It should have sent a signal to our brothers on the other side that we were this time very vigilant. But unfortunately, because they have had their mind of what to do, and they had the state machinery on their side, and the judiciary too on their side, they thought that they could sail through. But it never could be. And that was marvelous.
So to you, the vigilance was key.
Key. Very, very key.
And now let me take you to your campus. The University of Ghana campus has always been, I don't know whether the word to use is Waterloo for the NDC. Usually struggle to win on the University of Ghana campus. Won this time around. What happened? Did you have a role to play in it? The lecturers stepping out and openly declaring? Or was it just time for change?
So, Sana, if I'm allowed to disclose this, but I will. Once we decided to be part of the campaign, we tried to also make sure we understand the dynamics on campus.
Okay.
Yeah? So we first did a quick survey in all the halls, 14 of them, to sample the performance of our candidate and Madam Lydia, who is a friend, on campus.
Okay.
So when we got the results, we saw where we were very weak and where we were doing well.
Okay.
And attention then moved to those areas that we were extremely weak.
Okay.
And we started doing some room-to-room encounter with the students. It will interest you to know because some students were not even in the mood to vote.
Oh, okay.
Some.
We're not interested in voting.
So now I'm urging you and your crew come to the investor in January when we open school. Yeah? You will count how many students line up at BAM Library in the night when school reopens first, the first years. Because of accommodation. It is a huge, especially our brothers from the Norfolk come in. And if they don't get accommodation that night, they have to make do anywhere with their things.
Sleep anywhere?
Anywhere. In time past, we were able to decongest our residential halls. So we have 4-in-1 or 3-in-1. Today, and the students have a term for it. A picture. Huge. So one room, over 14, 12, and what can they do? And the irony is that they don't give it for free. They commercialize it. Management has tried as they could. Now management has put in e-gates just to regulate who comes in.
Who goes out? Yeah.
But you know, students, and you've been a student before, you know.
By the way.
Exactly.
I see.
So it's a huge. So most of them were frustrated.
Okay. So accommodation was a big problem.
It is a big problem.
Okay.
It is a big problem. Management is now trying to put up. Now we have Silver Jubilee something virtually completed. which is going to house some. Some private individuals are also putting up graduate hostel. We hope it will mitigate the problem a little. But then it's a huge challenge for the university. So it makes the students a bit frustrated.
And interested in the political process that does not help solve their problem.
Exactly. Exactly. If you come to the lecture halls, in time past where a policy was made, a class should not be more than 300. If it's more than 300, divided into two. In the case of Ghana, we were not taking so many first years. 14,000, 15,000, 20,000. Without any increase in infrastructure. Then you have a situation where we have so many students in a class. I've been saying that if you have a class more than 300, the first 100 might listen to you. And these days where everybody has a mobile phone, those at the back will be on their mobile phone whilst you're teaching. So it all speaks to some level of frustration. You have to find a way to examine 300 students. How many assignments can you give a mark? Some are resorting to objective questions. I'm not saying it's not good, but it needs to be crafted very well to get management has put in place trainer of trainer something to put us all at par with that kind of system. But I'm saying that in our situation where students sit in a way, the only thing a student has to do is to giraffe small to know what the counterpart is doing. And it all affects the quality of education there. So all these they also know. So people were a bit frustrated, as it were. They all account why University of Ghana changed.
So urgently, being somebody who's been working with the university for many years, what the incoming government has to do if he wants to at least maintain that support that it got in this election on the campuses. I've heard you talk about lecture halls, residents, the issue of accommodation for them. Those are for you the two major issues that they need to deal with.
In fact,
expand infrastructure.
Exactly. And then the president-elect has also made it categorically clear when he met students, that it will be one of the priorities. Because if not, and I don't think that it's about University of Ghana alone. I think that in most of the public schools, they all will be going through the same wahala. It is one of the things that we need to tackle. And I'm happy that there's going to be a dialogue on the whole educational architecture. And we see how best we can handle this. But lecture halls and residential facilities are critical. If you are to get away from the mess that we are in now.
Then that's the campus. Then there's of course the proposal that's on the table. There is a fee-free stress. I've forgotten the arrangement. Is that?
Yeah, fee-free stress the first year.
Yeah, for the first years. Did that also play a role when people heard it? Even though they were continuing students?
Well, honestly, I don't have any data to that effect. I know there was, because I was a member of the manifesto drafting team, I know that a lot of work went into it, calculating where to fund it, how much it will entail. But as to whether it impacted on the results, I cannot, because I've not done any research to that effect.
But you were part of that process.
Yeah.
Lecturer, but you've been a lecturer, professor, many years now. For you, what impact would that really make? What's the best justification that can be given for that?
So you see, there's some subtle competition among public universities
Okay.
for good students.
Okay.
Yeah. So somebody gets 9. He chooses University of Ghana Business School, which is one of our flagship programs. Business school would ordinarily want to pick 8.
Okay. 8.
8.
Okay.
So if for one reason or the other they scale down to 9, which will be taken by one other university without sweat. University of Ghana will give you have been offered a BA in business administration. You have to pay by 17th.
Okay.
You are offered a 10 on a 10th by 17th. If by 17th you're not paid, you lose that. You lose that option. The person also is targeting another university,
Okay.
which could give him a straight admission without any condition. So then he will be pushing there.
Okay.
So that kind of subtle competition among public universities, giving a ceiling, a time frame for which you have to pay or lose your studentship or candidature, put some unnecessary stress on parents.
Okay.
Once you get the admission, you'll be struggling to
Find
pay.
the money to pay.
That perhaps informed that policy. Let's get that one sorted out for the students or for the parents, so that they can. Then the question is, from there, what next? They said, let's give an enhanced student scholarship that can help settle the subsequent bills, which I think is good. And I'm very sure, and we had debate on this. How do you fund it?
Okay.
The president says we are going to cut down on ministers.
Okay.
We are going to cut down about 3,000 staffers to about a number that's manageable. That savings alone is capable of paying for all students.
Okay.
That savings alone is capable of paying for all the fees of all students in the tertiary university first year.
Okay.
So that it's appropriate use of resources that we are talking about here. Instead of perhaps investing in staffers and ministers, let's invest in our students, which is better.
So you had to be convinced at that level that
Yes.
you can find the money to fund it.
Yeah, so
Why was it such a big deal for you?
it was a big deal because we don't have to make it business as usual.
Okay.
You understand? So I'm not very sure if you have been able to lay hands on the policy that guided the free SHS.
No. Not yet.
I've asked how many we don't have, and we don't build policy on vacuum. It should be underpinned by empirics. Otherwise, it will suffer. It will come to naught. So, like I'm saying, before they even came up, they had done extensive work. How much would that cost? Where would we get that money? And who will be the beneficiaries and who will not? This had been done. And we interrogated it and realized that all things being equal, if we should maintain what we have decided, it's feasible.
Feasible.
Very feasible.
You see, having studio, if you just join us, Professor Martin Otieno Bebio is with the University of Ghana. I'll come to your area of specialty, but let me go back to the campaign period when most of these lectures got onto the road and started campaigning. What was the reception like from the Ghanaian?
Well, Senator, to be honest, it appeared to be, let me say, a shock. But to see, if you saw me on the street, dancing to the NDC music, sharing flags, it was unusual.
Okay.
But then my point was, in an account balance, if the chief does not fight, there's the servant will run away. If you don't speak the truth, if you don't explain to the people what is actually happening, they will buy into those lies and deceit. What I call the government gaslighting. So, even though initially the reception was horrible, it got to a point, I recall when we went to Accra Mall. Oh, it was fantastic. People hooting their horns. When we went to Zongo Junction at Medina. So with time, they came to appreciate the fact that, and of course, the media too helped, giving us the opportunity to explain our motivation. Also, actually helped. Initially, it was, but it picked up as we went on.
You must have a lot of people to thank on this, for that kind of reception, for listening to you. Witness for the group of lecturers who decided to put themselves, because on campus now, you've been known, or have you been known all along as identifiable with the NDC party?
So now, we sought to achieve a purpose, to propagate the gospel, if you like. We have done that. We have achieved our aim. We're just hoping that the incoming government will do as it has promised. And that will give a justification to what we have done. As to how people will look at you, that to me is not very important. Because we all have opportunity to make our choices. And I think that that's where I felt there were times where there were some comments I can't say on radio. Oh, you from here? Oh, I said, oh, I'm sorry. At times we need to say the truth and let the truth guide us in what we do. So,
you got those kind of comments that people were surprised.
More.
They were surprised that you were supporting the NDC.
Something like that.
I see. I thought those kind of comments were in the past.
Oh my goodness.
And on campus where you have a freedom to associate, among others.
You see, let me put it this way. Some people are so entrenched in their political beliefs that if you are on the other side, not an enemy aside, but
you're wrong.
Exactly.
You're on the wrong side.
Exactly. That I think. But all we should accept all that. It doesn't really matter much. The most important thing is that objectivity should be the watchword. We should be objective in what we do. And we should be consistent. We shouldn't say anything that posterity will not be able to uphold.
Okay.
I will not make a statement that I cannot defend tomorrow.
Okay.
And I say it, my students, seek knowledge, because it is only knowledge that will make you unfit for the slave market.
Okay. Only knowledge will make you unfit for the slave market.
Exactly. If you know what you are doing, nobody can. So it's even in the Bible. Remember Joseph, when the brothers sold him into slavery. When he got there, the man saw that he was so intelligent. He doesn't have to be a slave. He became the administrator of the slave master, isn't it? So I urge my students, and I urge everybody, seek knowledge. Seek knowledge. And that would only make you unfit. So that you will not be pushed by people's whims and caprices. No.
Now, Prof, you said you're hoping that the incoming administration will justify their faith. That came from the lecturers who decided to fight for the administration to come in, believing that they will do things better than the administration that is exiting. Now, for you, what will be your measure of success when it comes to the incoming administration?
First, I'm expecting the government to be very truthful
Truthful.
to the Ghanaian. See now, the expectation, in fact, the wahala people have gone through, the difficulty people have gone through, manifest in the votes that the president have had. Yeah. So that also shows that the expectation is very high. Very, very high. But the truth of the matter is that perhaps the resources are not there to change things overnight.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I expect government to be very honest with Ghanaians. This is what we have. This is what we can do for now. And perhaps this is what we can do tomorrow. At every step in this trajectory, government should be honest and fair with the Ghanaians. Tell Ghanaians the truth. They will buy into it and move along with you. If government decides to, and I think that we have president. Before exiting, he had a record to show.
Yeah.
So if we have to go by the previous, then we are in a very comfortable zone.
Okay.
He's not somebody who, per the previous record, lied to us. He's not somebody who promised and failed. There are certain things that they even put up that were not in their manifesto. So I'm hoping and praying that those that have been captured in the manifesto, at least we should be able to do more of those things for the Ghanaian people.
As much as possible, they should be able to execute the things in their manifesto.
And those, for one reason or the other, we cannot do. You should be honest.
Okay. Be
Explain
honest
what.
about it.
Be honest about it. So we all, every year, like getting to the end of the year, we are going to have a New Year resolution, isn't it? So you would hope for a lot of things. If for nothing at all, if for one reason or the other, we cannot achieve. I recall when I used to smoke. Every end of every year, my first next year I won't smoke again. But now, thank God, it's over. But my point is that you propose. If for one reason or the other, we cannot achieve what we want to, let's know. Give a justification. Because we are doing this, perhaps we cannot tackle this in the immediate, but let's give us some 1 or 2 more months. That would be fair with the Ghanaian.
Which areas interest you the most when it comes to the areas you like government to look at?
Education.
Education for you.
In fact, it should be for everybody.
For everybody. Okay.
Senna, the mess that we have gone through for the past 7-8 years on education, it's going to take us a very long time to bring it back to normal.
Education will take a long time for you to restore it back to.
Exactly. Senna, come to think of it, a child goes to SHS 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He's going to the next SH2. He goes to school 3 weeks, comes back 3 months. Forget about the education that they are receiving. The cost to the parent. We've not calculated. Every parent who wants the welfare of the ward has to go for an extra class for the child.
Extra classes.
Yes.
The cost to the parents.
Yes.
Of the way the system is run.
Yes. Meanwhile, the child comes to the university virtually empty. We are having two sets of kids now. Those who are extremely intelligent, they are few. The majority of them need extra help to come to. And these are supposed to be our featured leaders, isn't it? So I'm saying that.
But these people make the grades. All of them make the grade.
The irony is that, and I don't know where we are coming from. We've changed curriculum. We will not give them the textbooks, but we are giving them answer papers, question papers. But in our time, you have to read a textbook
to know how to.
Exactly. We don't have the textbooks. So all these years we've run on an ad hoc basis. Last month, yes, I know there was a conference in Winneba where they tried to put up the textbooks together. But this should have been done long ago. How did the students get? How? Anyway, no, it's terrible.
Because when you're talking about education, one of the key place you went to is senior high school.
Yes.
Is that because it is what feeds you at the university level?
Exactly. It feeds all the tertiary universities.
Okay.
All the tertiary institutions get their input from the SHS, isn't it? So if the fundamentals are weak, I'm not quoting anybody. if the bases are wrong, they struggle a lot to cope with.
So you have a lot more students. So the numbers are increasing on you. The pressure on you has gone up.
Yeah.
But yet you have to do a lot more work to help them to keep up.
If not, disaster.
What do you think should be done to the senior high school, the free SHS, or let's say secondary education?
My thinking is that we should give them their normal 3-year training.
Okay.
Instead of this 1.5. It's not even 1.5.
Okay. A system that ensures they make full use of the 3 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if we can do that, then we should expand the infrastructure at that level.
Okay.
So that we will do away with this, what they call the traffic light system. So that we can, and of course, when you're expanding the infrastructure, then you're also increasing the staff. So that they can give the students the best of foundation that they need at that level. So when they come to the university, they can build on it and be good students. When the foundations are weak, they find it very difficult. So there's something playing out, which I've observed. Those who come in from the very good schools, with as 8 A's, whatever it is, as they progress along, it is those from the village schools who then come to pick the awards.
Really?
Yes. So if you like, check from those who become the valedictorian, and most of them are from deprived, as I call it, university. Our university have a policy to help students. Needy, brilliant but needy
students. Okay.
The university gives them scholarship. It's fascinating. Most of these so-called needy, they become valedictorian.
Okay. So that support is important.
Exactly. Very, very important. But it also tells you, in those areas, they go through the normal, they don't go through the traffic light system. There's a school in my mind, but I don't want to mention it. where my TA went, and they were laughing at him in class. Eventually, he became the veteran, and he's now doing his master's, PhD at the University of Cologne. So it tells us that the traffic light system is not helping. But a lot of evidence points to that effect. If you come to medical school today, when they are recruiting students, of course they take 8 A's. You should have A's 8.
All true.
Yes. And they have many students who do.
Okay.
You have to come and write aptitude tests. When that is done, you have to come for an interview before they can get the 250 that they want to enroll. That tells you this wasn't the case. Because perhaps the quality has, you have to go through this. Nursing, you have to come for an aptitude test. You have to come for interview before you can get admission to first year. All point to the fact that perhaps the system is not very well. So my point is that we can only overcome this challenge if we create avenue for we to do away with the traffic light system, get students in classroom for the duration that they are supposed to be, and let the teachers give them the maximum support that they can. Instead of the 1.5 years, give them the 3 years they deserve for the course. Remember when time passed, it was 5 years. It came to 4 years, 3 years. Now, what we are running is less than 1.5 years. And that cannot prepare a student adequately for university work.
Well, Prof, I would like to move to just a question that came up when I saw your department. Geography, yes, I've heard of geography.
And resource
What is
development.
the resource development aspect of it?
You know geography?
Yes.
The
I
definition-
assume, yes. I was not a geography student. So I'm assuming I understand geography.
So geography is a science that looks at man's interaction with the environment.
Man's interaction with the environment.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a science that...
That was about rocks and
No. I mean,
mountains. And
it's a rock. If you are looking at rock alone, then you're going to geology.
Okay.
Yeah. But we look at how man interface with the environment.
Okay.
So everything from farming, manufacturing, mining, how fishing, even social interaction, marriage,
Okay.
are all part of
geography.
geography.
Okay.
So we have political geography that looks at politics within various geographical entity.
Okay.
We have social geography. Look at the traditional practices, the culture. Then we have physical geography that looks at the timber, the mining.
Okay.
These are natural resources. These are resources that some are infinite and some are finite.
Okay.
And to be able to make sustainable use of those resources for our benefit and the benefit of our future kids, we need to manage them very well.
Okay, that's where the resource development aspect
Exactly.
comes in.
So how best can we, for example, if you heard me talk about the Galamsey issue,
Listening, after this explanation, I'm wondering, you must be scandalized at what we're doing with our, especially our gold.
Exactly. Because, you see, the essence of mining is to seek human welfare, eventually. If you mine and it becomes an individual affair, it's not for humanity. But that process is consigning the whole society into a big catastrophe.
Okay.
I went to
Instead of improving our lives.
exactly.
Okay.
I went to my father's cocoa farm in Sekri. Now, when I got there, in fact, it's been a long time that I went there. My father passed, and in the village, so they all welcomed me. So I gave me a chair, and I sat down, and they brought me, as customary demand, water. So now, I looked at the water, and I was in a state of denial. Should I drink or not to drink? And here we are, some elderly guys
Yes.
there. If you don't drink, it's an insult. But I look. So what I did was to close my eyes and gargle it. When I came back, I called my brother and said, look, can we find a way to sing a borehole at the village?
Okay.
The mess that the Galamsey has caused, not in only one geographical area, and it's in multiple facets. Apart from destroying our water, it is affecting biodiversity. All the fishes that we used to have in there are virtually gone, isn't it? It's a huge challenge. That's why we look at resource development as a key component of our subject.
And going enough, some of the persons who were part of that group of lecturers who decided to campaign for the NDC, you realized they were into, was somebody like Professor Nanama Brown Kluche. Those were issues of global warming,
The climate change,
among others, and the impact of this kind of things on. I think there's Professor Yera,
Yes.
doctor. I
Yes.
think
Prof,
doctor.
yes.
She's also prof now.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is
Benedicta.
also, yes, who is also in the they are also
Environment,
within,
yes,
within
yes,
that
yes,
same
yeah.
circle. So I'm wondering how that fed into the final manifesto promise on what to do with the Galamsey situation, how to tackle it, how to go about it, how the knowledge that was available to the NDC was exploited and used for that purpose. Yourself, you were there.
So now, that one good thing about the NDC manifesto that I can talk about is their modus operandi. So I chaired the environment committee.
Okay.
Nana Man Brown was there, Benedicta was there.
Okay.
So, and we have Tony Obin there.
Okay.
They brought together a crop of expertise, and they provided avenue for us to judge. And remember, we did not even use our expertise alone. We also engage. For example, Galamsey, we went to almost all the Galamsey sites and engaged with the people.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we spoke to the TUC, all those who matter on the subject matter. We explain from the technical point of view, and they give us their practical point of view. So it's a box. It's a mixture of theory and practice.
Okay.
So if you look at the manifesto, very simple, succinct, but straight to the point. We said, oh, well, we can't do away with Galamsey, but we can put them into cooperative and monitor them.
Okay.
Give them the expertise, give them those who have the know-how to guide them and monitor them. Let's send the various institutions that, as it were, manage the process to the district level.
Okay.
So that they will be held accountable. Let's get the opinion leaders involved in the management of the process. And with that, we think that we can, as it were, solve the problem. On the river channels, we flew drones and we realized that they have diverted the river channel. So really right now when it rains, but for that, the rainfall could have cleared the mess.
Okay.
But they have diverted the river channel. So instead of using its own river basin or river channel, when it rains, it overflows the farmland.
Okay.
So then, because they have to divert the channel so that they can mine within.
Okay.
So let's get those guys out of the system, open the channel, and let the river flow through its normal course. These are things that have been done, and we think that if well implemented, we should get there very soon.
And talking about staying on the matter of the environment, then there's another issue that comes up: sanitation. Of course, the promise that President Akufo-Addo made, making Accra the cleanest city in West Africa within, I think, 18 months. That was the promise he made. Now we are looking at an Accra that is nowhere near clean.
The filthiest neighborhood that I've ever visited. Yes. So I also like the sanitation policy that we have proposed. You see, when His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo proposed to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa, I said it was not true. And not because of partisan reason. It was because you needed to put in place measures to make you succeed. So system where we pick and throw away does not help. As we speak, we don't have an engineered landfill in Accra.
Okay.
So even if the citizenry are so patriotic and decide to desilt the gutter, where are we going to send them? At best, we leave the filth on the shoulders of the drainage system, and very soon it gets back.
Wash back. Yeah.
We have, if you like, monopolized our sanitation system for few, let me say one company, if you like. That is also not helping us. We are saying that we will bring in place what we call the camp size theory or the camp size model, where we would identify areas of high waste generation. For example, the new plant station. 1,760 buses move in and out of new plant station every day. Let's give that one to one company to manage that waste at that site, that area. And this management is not about only collecting and dumping, but at times fumigating the areas. We are also saying that we should also institute waste segregation at source. So even at New Plant Station, we have a container for organic waste, we have a container for plastics, and perhaps paper and the others. So that we will not just be picking waste and go and throw away, but we'll be using waste as a resource. I guess you know that most of the plastic chairs we sit on are from plastic waste. I guess you know that the toilet roll that we use are from paper. I always use University of Ghana. We are going to write exams come January. Over 40,000 students are going to write papers. When we finish, what do we do with them after 5 years? Where? So I'm saying that if we are able to, and we cannot perhaps use the paper because if it gets soiled, if you don't put it aside, If you don't segregate it, you can't use it for anything. So let's provide avenue for us to segregate waste. And providing avenue for people to segregate waste, provide avenue for people to go and sell. Because if you know that you can collect plastics around your area, and you have a place, we call it buyback center, to go and sell. People will do that easily to supplement their revenue. When we were young, they used to call some guys Kwalaba. The guys from Mali, they will come with a sack there, and they'll be moving around the vicinity, the neighborhood. If you have bottle, they'll buy. If you have melting, they'll buy. And we used to go around the rubbish dump to look for these and come and sell. I'm not saying that people should go to the rubbish dump to do that. But I'm saying that if people know that they separate their plastics and can go to the nearby place and sell, they will do that with ease. Even in the churches we are doing today, there are people who segregate their plastics and bring them to church. With that, for example, the case of New Plant Station, if you add 1 peso to every ticket that you sell, it will fund itself and leave some for the assembly. Government should not spend. The only thing that government will have to do is to provide avenue. It's a tripartite. Government as the lawmaker, the private sector as the service provider, and the waste generator as a contributor. If any of these 3 people fail to do its work, then we have the mess that we are having. If I'm supposed to take my waste to the skip side, and I get there and the skip is full, I can't bring it back to my house. I'll find a way to dump it. And always it's the gutters that suffer, isn't it? But make sure things are done in the right form, and you would not find yourself wanting. And I'm saying that government should also make a conscious effort to invest in the recycling plant. Germany, for example, banned the construction of landfill in 2005. Everything should go into recycling. It beats my imagination when we also accept grant from Germany to, for example, construct a landfill.
The people who ban landfill.
They give you 200 million, go and construct pond landfill. And I think that some of these should be negotiated. Instead of building a landfill, let's build a recycling plant. And that will provide some jobs. It will limit the need for land for landfills. And it will prevent unnecessary pollution. If you are going to the pond landfill, you would smell the place before you get there. Because almost always the place is on fire. And that is not helpful. One thing I've seen that we don't take very critical look is about the air pollution. And we are saying that we should look at it in our manifesto. Look at it critically. Because it affects. The last report that World Health was 28,000 people suffer from air pollution in Ghana every year. And that's a huge number.
Prof, unfortunately our time is up. That's all time will allow us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. I think one of the conversations we have to have is a proper one on the sanitation issue, on the matter of how the approach to sanitation will be going forward. But
I'm always prepared, and I will be more than glad to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And extend my greetings to Professor Nana Mabram Kuti and the rest of the team.
Narama is a married person. I just want to alert you.
Yeah.